Yeah, gotta consider a theme tune for this. Hello, my name is Lee Franklin, and this is a video of the course which will be going through the navigating of Microsoft Excel. So, let's start off with this part one of this video, and what we're talking about is moving around the Excel spreadsheet. But why? Why navigate around an Excel spreadsheet? Isn't it quick and easy? Well, a lot of people don't appreciate what is Excel and how big Excel can be. So let's start off with the beginning. You've got the workbook. And the workbook is an area where you can save your calculations and working out. The workbook has a name. It's a minimum of 256 characters. You can have a large paragraph when it comes to giving a proper name to this file. Wouldn't recommend it, but the issue here is you don't have any limitations when it comes to the size of the file name. Next, where do you save your file? The most important thing when it comes to saving file is remembering where you saved it. Because with computers today, there is multiple locations of where you can save the file. So you can save it on the desktop, on the C drive, anywhere inside the unit, save it on the server, or save it on the cloud. The reason I mention this is the importance of one thing, the cloud. East Surrey College is moving most of its resources up into the cloud. So that means that not only is your work available to at work, but also at home or in a variety of different locations. And one of the things they did get for you is Office 365. So that has been set up, and one of its principal parts is OneDrive. OneDrive is a cloud-based storage system. And we'll be seeing that in a moment when we look through Excel. So we have a workbook, which can have a large name. Inside this workbook, we have pages. Yeah, loads of pages. Now, I should point out, when it comes to opening up Microsoft Excel, you're usually presented with just one page. But we can have multiple pages, and there is no limit to a number. But before we start looking at multiple pages, first we have to consider the page itself. The page is divided up, and the reason it's divided up is because this page is so big, you need to identify where is our particular character, where is the information located on this page. Because these pages are so large, we have an estimated 1 million, 1.4 million rows and about 16,000 columns. This is equivalent to this book being 16 miles long. Or if we can consider from East Surrey College to Streatham, that's how big just one page is. And you can have multiples. But don't panic, you're not going to fill up the hard drive with just saving one file. All it does is it saves the area where you've actually done your written work. Yep, so the rest of the area that's not being used, that is not saved. So we have a workbook with a name, and in there we have sheets. And within the sheets, they're divided up into different sections because this workbook can be very large in size. So what this tells us is space is not an issue. You have very large file names, multiple locations where you can save this file. And when it comes to using a spreadsheet, you're not worried about where you put the spreadsheet because it is ginormous and you're never going to run out of space right now. So we've already surpassed all those limitations. Okay, so let's go in and have a look at the Excel spreadsheet. So we're now presenting my computer desktop. And on the desktop, I'm going to go down to this bottom icon here, and I'm going to open up Microsoft Excel. When you're first presented with Microsoft Excel, you're presented with the home screen. It says good afternoon. It actually changes according to the time on your clock. And this home screen is a summary of new and open. I'm going to click on new, which is button down here, which is the expanded version where we have our new blank spreadsheets. And below that, we have our training, advanced training spreadsheets, and we have these gorgeous looking templates with colors, menus, and pre-done calculations, all there to help you. So very nice. Now, I should point out, I've been using Excel for at least 20-25 years, and I have never used any one of those templates. They're all very nice, but what you'll find, you'll get to a particular point where by the time you learn how to use these things, it's a lot easier to create it yourself than to utilize these templates. Next, we have Open. Open, like most other open options you come across in other programs, allows you to see all your files. Here you're normally presented with your most recent files, and you also have pinned options. Pinned allows you to keep your most important files readily available to you. Now, the reason we've come here, and the most important element is this, OneDrive. This is built into all of Microsoft Office, and if we've signed into our Microsoft Excel program, so in this case, I've got up here Lee Franklin. If I click on this, it's referenced to my email address. And that means that when I have this set up, I can go here and just save or open, and it saves my work to the cloud. And this is something you all need to look at when it comes to dealing with your copies of Excel, Word, PowerPoint, that your username or your email address is set up at the top. That means you can instantly access your cloud-based options. Okay, so go back to Open. And nope, I'm going to go back to Home. I'm going to click on this blank spreadsheet. I'm presented with this blank spreadsheet. This is the sheet. First, I'm going to look at, if I go near the bottom, we will see Sheet 1. Sheet 1, we can have Sheet 2, Sheet 3, Sheet 4. As you can see, it's that easy just to go in there and jump between the different sheets. And this sheet, as I said, is incredibly large. But to allow us to see and navigate around the spreadsheet, what I'm going to do is open up one I've already previously created to save us some time typing out any relevant information. Okay, so we have my spreadsheet here, and it stands out compared to the previous spreadsheet. You can see these headings look a lot closer. So the first thing of navigating around the spreadsheet, number one, we can zoom in and zoom out. I'm using the wheel on my mouse, and the wheel on my mouse, scrolling on it up and down, allows my screen to go up and down. But I'm going to use some additional features. Additional features you come across when it comes to using the keyboard is Control, Shift, or Alt. On their own, I'm pressing Control, I'm pressing Shift, I'm pressing Alt. On their own, they do absolutely nothing. But when you hold them together with a feature, it enhances its ability. So I'm going to hold Control and use the wheel on the mouse. So instead of going up and down, I'm zooming out, whoa, and zoom all the way in, get very close. And I like to have my spreadsheet close, because if I find I'm leaning forward or I can't find my glasses, you can zoom in and see what you're looking at. And it's less strain for the eyes when it comes to utilize the spreadsheet close up. So that is Control and the wheel. Now, please remember, as well as this video, we'll also be handing out a list of shortcut keys, and also dealing with some exercises as well to go with this video. So we can zoom in and out. Step number one of navigating around the spreadsheet. Step number two, I'm going to click on this cell so we have a little active cell. Remember, the active cell is a cell that when you click and type, that's where your information will appear. When I press enter, the active cell is dropped down, I type, that's where this text appears. The text will only appear where the active cell is located. To navigate around the spreadsheet, step two is using the arrow keys. So the arrow keys allow me to go up, down, left, right. And as I move the active cell around the spreadsheet, you will see those column headings, A, and row numbers B3 tells me where I am actually located around that spreadsheet. Okay, good. To give it additional capabilities, this time I'm going to hold the control key down. So when I hold control and press the arrow key downwards, I've gone down to 1,048,576. This is the last row on the bottom of my spreadsheet. Okay, I'm going to hold control key. Remember, control on its own does nothing. And the arrow key to the right. I'm now at row XFD, which is 16,384. Control and arrow key upwards. Yep, we're nearly back to our beginning, and control key to the left takes us right back to our first cell, A1. So we can jump around this entire spreadsheet, and that was pointless. Who's going to go down to row 1,048,586? It's good for a little show, but that's about it. So why did they create that capability? And this is why. I'm going to click on this cell. I'm going to highlight it, just make it stand out. And this time I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hold control and the arrow key downwards. And it jumped to Samuel, the last name on our list. So the arrow key and control jumps to the furthest point of the written area of your spreadsheet. So if I want to go to the furthest column, I'm going to do control and arrow key to the right. And there we are. It's jumped right to G52. Again, control and arrow key upwards. And there it goes, taking us to salary. So it's not moving around the table. If I had a table next to a table, it would have jumped to the other table and found that as my furthest point. So it allows us to jump around our written area. But if you don't have a written area, then it will jump to the extremes of the spreadsheet. So that's the arrow key, and then combine that with the arrow key and the control key. Step number 2. We can use page up and page down. We're looking at row 2 and row 11. When I press page down, row 11 is now near the top and row 20 is at the bottom. I'm going to press page down, row 20 is at the top and row 29 is at the bottom. So it allows us to jump down or jump up based on how far I've zoomed in and zoomed out. And it jumps per screen page. So it's a quick way of jumping down the screen, or I can jump up very quick. That little chime, as you've probably guessed, is telling us we've reached the top of the page. I can then use a combination of Alt and page up and page down. So I'm going to hold the Alt key and I'm jumping. And this time it's using horizontally back and forth. So it's using left and right between the column headings. Again, we get a chime because we've now moved to extreme. We're in column A, can't go any further. So page up and page down goes up and down. Alt, page up and page down goes left or right. And finally, this time I'm going to do control and page up and page down. And this allows me to jump between different sheets. You can see that just moving at the bottom. Yes, I could use the mouse, but sometimes you may find that you've reached the end of the viewable area for the sheets and you may have more sheets there. So it allows you to go that bit further. So that was using the control, the Alt, or just the fundamental keys. I'm going to click on here. Notice I haven't mentioned Shift. Well, I mentioned Shift gives us additional features, but Shift doesn't allow us to navigate. I'm going to hold the Shift key and use the arrows. And Shift allows us to select areas. You'll find the same thing occurs in Microsoft Word. So it allows us to select groups, but it's not part of that navigating around the spreadsheet. Okay, coming near the end here, we have our naming box. So I'm going to click on Barbara. I'm going to highlight Barbara, so I'm going to give her white text. And I'm going to choose a dark red color. Barbara is now standing out. I know Barbara is in the cell B3 because those cells are highlighted. But also notice up in the name box, it also says B3 here. So this tells us where our active cell is located. But I could say J45. Press enter. And it's now jumped to J45. So I can use this not only to find out where I am, but I can tell it I want to go to somewhere specific. So GH485, and it's taking me to that cell, GH45. There we are. So our name box allows us to jump to locations. It does have other capabilities, and we'll see them a bit later on. And finally, our last set of navigation options go around the spreadsheet. If I want to jump back to column A, I just press home. But if I want to jump back to A1, it is control home. And you'll find the same thing again. I'm repeating myself in Microsoft Word, in Microsoft PowerPoint, and a majority of other programs. Control home always takes you to the beginning of the first page, and control end takes us to the end of the last page. So it allows us to jump around very quickly. So we've looked at a variety of different ways of jumping around a very large spreadsheet, using the arrow keys, using the page up and page down, using the name box, and using our home and end function, allowing us to jump around our spreadsheet. So once you've got the idea of navigating around our spreadsheet, oh, I did miss out the control and the wheel. Yes, and this one is a very underused feature. So again, control and the wheel. If you want to see what's going on, you can zoom in and zoom out. A lot of times it tries to zoom in on the area that you have selected. So I'm going to click here and use control and the wheel. And again, it's trying to get that selected item in that top corner. So if you're leaning forward, consider using control and the wheel. Okay. So hopefully this is giving you a brief idea of navigating around the spreadsheet, and hopefully I will see you in the next videos where we'll be doing calculations, doing a variety of formatting, and a lot more. Okay, I'll see you next time. Thank you.